Hey guys, this is Camman Jason here doing a special video. It's about Nintendo knowledge. It's kind of a special video. I'm doing it for you guys since today's my birthday, so I'm going to go ahead and get into it. So, once the best-selling gaming console of its time, the NES helped revitalize the US video game industry following the video game crash of 1983 and set the standard for the subsequent consoles of its generation. With the NES, Nintendo introduced a now standard business model of licensing third-party developers, authorizing them to produce and distribute software for the Nintendo platform. In 2009, the Nintendo Entertainment System was named the single greatest video game console in history by IGN out of a field of 25. The system was originally targeted for release in the spring of 1985, but the release date was pushed back after test marketing in the New York City area in late fall. The system was released nationwide in February 1986. The video game market crash of 1983 was due to lack of consumer and retailer confidence in video games, due partially to confusion and misrepresentation in the marketing of video games prior to the NES. The packaging of many video games had artwork which exaggerated the graphics of the actual game. A single game such as Pac-Man would appear on many different game consoles and computers with large variations in graphics and sound between the versions. Nintendo's marketing aimed to regain consumers and retailer confidence. The game system was referred to as an entertainment system, the games as game packs, not video games, and consoles itself as a control deck, not a console. The packaging of the launch lineup of the NES games had pictures with a very close representation of the actual graphics of the game. Symbols on the launch games clearly showed the genre of the game. To reduce confusion, a seal of quality was printed on licensed games and accessory packagings. The initial seal stated, "This seal is your assurance that Nintendo was approved and guaranteed the quality of this product." This text was later changed to the official seal of quality. The 10 NES lockout chip system deterred the production of NES games without Nintendo's approval, which helped to ensure that the system would have a reputation for high-quality games. Some of the NES accessories are r.o.b, the Robotic Operation Buddy, an accessory for the NES when it was first introduced in 1985. Although it ended up having a short product lifespan, r.o.b was initially used to market the NES as novel and different than previous game consoles. The Zapper was first released in 1985 with the launch of the NES in North America. It came bundled with the NES console, the Robotic Operating Buddy, and 2 games, Duck Hunt and Gyromite. The Zapper is used on supported NES games such as Duck Hunt and Wild Gunman. To hit targets on the screen, players point the device by lining up the front and rear sights with the desired target and pulling the trigger. The Zapper could also be used on the title screens of games to move the cursor, done by pointing the device away from the screen and pulling the trigger, or starting the game pointing at the screen and pulling the trigger. The Power Pad. Bandai first released the accessory in 1986 as the Family Trainer Pack for the Famicom in Japan, and later released in the United States under the name Family Fun Fitness. Soon after its American release, Nintendo bought the rights for it and released it in 1988 as a Power Pad along with the game World Class Track Meet, which was rebranding of an earlier game. The Power Glove. The Power Glove is a controller accessory for the Nintendo Entertainment System and the first peripheral interface controller to recreate human hand movements on a television or a computer screen in real time. The Power Glove was not popular and was criticized for its impress and difficult to use control. Nintendo had some third-party licensing. Nintendo's near monopoly on the home video game market left it with a degree of influence over the industry, exceeding even that of Atari during Atari's heyday in the early 1980s. Unlike Atari, which never actively courted third-party developers and even went to court in an attempt to force Activision to cease production of Atari 2600 games, Nintendo had anticipated and encouraged the involvement of third-party software developers, but strictly on Nintendo's terms. To this end, a 10 NES authentication chip was placed in every console and another was placed in every official licensed cartridge. If the console's chip could not detect a counterpart chip inside the cartridge, the game would not load. Because Nintendo controlled the production of all cartridges, it was able to enforce strict rules on its third-party developers, which were required to sign a contract by Nintendo that would obligate these parties to develop exclusively for the system, order at least 10,000 cartridges, and only make 5 games per year. Unlicensed games such as Wisdom's Trees, Bible's Adventures, were often released in cartridges which looked very different from typical NES game packs. Unlicensed games, several companies refusing to pay the licensing fee or having been rejected by Nintendo found ways to circumvent the console's authentication system. Most of these companies created circuits that used a voltage spike to temporarily disable the 10 NES chip in the NES. A few unlicensed games released in Europe and Australia came in the form of a dongle that would be connected to a licensed game in order to use the licensed game's 10 NES chip for authentication. In order to combat unlicensed games, Nintendo of America threatened retailers who sold them with losing their supply of licensed titles. In addition, multiple revisions were made to the NES PCBs to prevent these games from working. Some top rare games for the NES include 1990's Nintendo World Championships Gold Edition. It could range from $15,000 to $21,000. 1991's Nintendo Campus Challenge could go for $14,000 to $20,000. 1990 Nintendo World Championships Gray cartridge, $4,000 to $6,000. The NES had a number of unlicensed titles that didn't receive the Nintendo seal of approval, since most of them had a very limited release in its release. It isn't a surprise that many are worth quite a bit. My Raid 6-in-1 could go for about $700 to $2,900. Also, the 6-in-1 Coltron could go for about $525 to $2,080. Bubble Bath Babes could go for about $500 to $1,275. Peekaboo Poker could go for $705 to $1,352. Hot Slots could go about $605 to $1,352, and Cheetah Man could go for $400 to $503. Even though I've seen things where it says Cheetah Man could go for over $1,000 nowadays. As the 1990s dawned, however, renewed competition from technology. Superior systems such as the 16-bit Sega Mega Drive Genesis marked the end of the NES's dominance, eclipsed by Nintendo's own Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm going to celebrate my birthday today and have a good time. I hope everybody stays safe. Thank you for watching.